Good day, evening, morning, wherever you are. So glad my brain has just checked in. It was a late night for me, getting things ready for the end of year. How are you? Are you doing well? Are you ready for this time of year? Hopefully, you have a reason to celebrate. We have made it all the way through. Yes, there should be like a little clap button somewhere around here. Anyway, we've made it a whole year together. This is awesome. All right, so I'm very, hold on. Did that work? No, hold on a sec. Hold on. Oh my God, music off. Dear Lord, let's just restart that. Yeah, we made the year. That was awkward, wasn't it? Anyway, congratulations to all of us for making it through. A lot of trials, a lot of tribulations. I'm sure we've all had our fair share of ups and downs, but still here. So, coming into this lesson today, I have 4 questions, so it's going to be a little bit light, but I'll probably go quite deep as I normally do, and then a review on Thara's Rumba at the end, which would be great. And I'm really grateful to everyone who's left comments for me and who's written emails to me on their progress and what they're doing as well. A lot of you don't like to be public facing necessarily, which is a bit weird because we're dancers, but in the competition sense, some of you keep a low profile, which is totally fine. But I'm really happy to see that the input is giving you some output, which is fantastic. All right. Now, I wanted to say congratulations to Lisa. Now, she's given me 2 questions today, but she's also sent me an email saying how much she's progressed in her dancing and how far she has moved in her own, I suppose, confidence, and of course in the results that she's getting, placing, I think, second at a recent competition, which is fantastic. And so that's a kudos to you, right? Because, coaches can only help you so much. And obviously seeking the right advice and the right coaching is very important, but then the student has to also do the work. So well done on creating a team for yourself and support for that. That's fantastic because it is interdependence, right? When it comes to coaching and when it comes to working with students and clients, like it has to mesh together well. When it does, holy Lord, it's quite a powerful thing. And when it doesn't, it's sort of like choosing the wrong partner, you regret life a bit more. Anyway, so let's get into the slow foxtrot. All right, so this question is for MORITZ. Welcome, MORITZ, sorry, MORITZ, anyway. Hello, Vaughan. I have another question about the slow foxtrot. When I try to do the feather step first and then the 3-step, this old chestnut, this is a classic. This is hard. I can understand your problem. I always have difficulties with the transition. I always start the first step of the 3-step with the ball of the foot. Tisk tisk. I don't think there's any step that you should be starting using the ball in foxtrot. So just keep that in mind. Even though it should be started with the heel. Okay, so you know that. The problem comes from the fact that I don't lower the last step of the feather step properly. Yep, that's what I would say even if you didn't say that. But if I lower it properly, I lose the nice flow in the slow foxtrot. Do you have any tips on how I can keep the flow even if I lower it? I'm not quite sure exactly where to place the first step of the 3-step because I thought you place it right in front of the standing leg since you're in CBMP for 4. That's right. So we'll go through that in a second. Thank you for, already for your answer. Bang! Look at that. Okay, by the way, the even flow, the flow even. I love that. This is a great song by Pearl Jam. I saw Pearl Jam recently, like 3 weeks ago with my brother, and I only started listening to them recently, right? And I went to their concert. Wow, wow, their albums do sound good, but in real life they are fantastic. Their sound was transcendent. It truly was great. There's a song called Even Flow. You should check it out. It's pretty cool. Anyways, so we're going to go to an even flow foxtrot, aren't we? Okay. So your problem, first of all, is not unusual. So one of the things that I teach, and you'll see this coming through this again and again, and Dave might be nodding there going, yep, this old foxtrot thing. The thing we aim to teach here is first principles and, of course, foundations, that carry across sort of movement. All right. So within foxtrot, we're not trying to move like tango. So there's a walk in foxtrot that you must master for your foxtrot to work. Now, one of the problems that is difficult for students to get with foxtrot, and again, we look at first principles. What's the problem? Then we identify that. Then we can look at a solution. We look at the idea of what makes foxtrot more difficult than the waltz in the early stages, because in my opinion, waltz actually is the hardest dance. Once you get your movement working in all the dances, waltz becomes very difficult because you close your feet and then you have to move, but you can't stop that flow either. And what happens with Foxtrot is the feet are continuous, aren't they? Right? They're continuously moving, and we use lowering through our feet and our legs and our body, and also rise through our feet, legs, and body, and then a transition of weight at a certain time to continue everything working, right? So to create a continuous even flow, if we look at this, that is the tricky part, right? Getting our feet to move in a certain way that we can continuously work through the movement, you know, and create a seamless ebb and flow. So transitioning from the feather finish is just so we can all come together on this one. So if we do a feather finish as the man, okay? So slow, quick, quick. There's your CBMP position, right? When you lower here, this this left foot is the end of the feather finish, okay? But also in certain technique books, it's the first step of the 3-step, okay? So let's just quantify that. That left foot forward is going to be our first step of the 3-step today, but you may have seen me teach in other channels where maybe it's starting on the right foot, but that's predicated on a different book, I believe. But anyways, doesn't matter because this technique is still the same. So let's not get caught up on that. So that left foot forward is going to be the beginning of your 3-step, all right? Let's talk about that transition. So the transition is where people break down in Foxtrot because rather than the feet closing, they're continuously moving, right? And then coming through. So what is the first thing you need to do? I would like someone to have a little think about this and write it in their brain or in the window. What is the first principal thing you need to get right? You know, obviously there's posture. It will be the walk, right? The way that you actually swing your legs through, collect your weight, and of course using the heels or toes. Now there have been previous videos where I've gone through students' foxtrots, and I've made that a point that it's now time to develop that walk a bit more. Now part of that is attached to, so the walk is attached to the swing of your legs, and of course the control of your feet. So if this is the first time you're hearing this, that's great. If this is the 1,000th time you've heard this, great. Because all movement requires mastery and it requires development, right? So we're trying to make better dancing. That means we're trying to enhance the flavor of your mechanics, right? The way you use your legs and feet. So in step one, it will be get your walks better. And we'll look at that in a second. Then it's going to be controlling the timing of your feet. All right. So the way you roll through it, because what you mentioned here, where was it? The problem comes, I don't lower the last step properly. If I do lower it properly, I lose the flow. Right. So what that means then, okay, so what happens in this case? You say you're losing the flow when you do lower properly, but it's the way you're lowering that's the problem. So again, when people hear, so for example, let's look at the footwork. So let's do the 3-step just on its own with the left foot. So that's going to be heel on step 1, right? Step 2 is heel toe, and step 3 is toe heel. And then the last step coming out of that, which is generally where you do a natural turn or whatever, will just be a heel into whatever's next, right? Okay, so those first 3 steps, heel, heel, toe, toe, heel. Say that as you dance it. So if you actually want to improve, start saying your footwork as you dance the movement. So from here, you would go heel, heel, toe, toe, heel, and then, heel. And why? Because what you want to know in your brain is as you are moving from into the footwork side of things, right, that heel, by the way, we don't say heel toe unless we're rising. So that's just a heel, yeah? Now, the step that's going into the 3-step has a right side lead, okay? This is where you're also going to find you have a problem when you get your feet working. And of course, we're rising, all right? So now, third part of that is going to be toe heel and not in CBMP, still in 2 tracks of movement. Okay, so in this first part where you say you are not lowering, when you lower quickly, you lose the flow. This is where people break down. So from the feather finish here, that right foot, when you lower it, it should be lowered at the moment that that foot passes. That's how we know we've lowered correctly. So if I drop this heel, so if I do a feather finish and then just put that heel down, i.e. lowering properly, right, because you put it down, but my foot's back here, you actually have stopped the movement and now it's actually mistimed. Now the other thing is too, if I go forward, rising's the same problem. So if I go forward on the left foot, that's easy, right? My right foot comes through on heel. I want that rise here to be felt like my body's being pulled over the foot, like up and over, right? So that's actually quite easy. So the tricky part for you is going to be focusing on the end of this feather finish being in CBMP, and then the timing of that heel, it lowers when the foot passes, okay? And then because of that, the body is, what's it called? It's continuous, it's going forward, and then you pick up using that momentum to swing up, right? So this up and down swing is sort of the next thing you think about when you understand the transition from the feather finish to the three-step. I hope it makes sense. You might have to listen to this a few times because it's quite in depth. So step one, understand the ballroom walk and how the feet pass. There's plenty of videos on my YouTube channel and in the membership area for you to look at that. Step two will be the control of your feet, so the actual lowering. Lowering at the time that your feet pass is critical. And then when you rise into the three-step, you want to feel that your weight almost gets pulled. That's the thing about Foxtrot that's really cool, is when it's danced well, it's almost like your body weight, well, it is because of the idea of swinging, your body weight is being like sort of pulled up, right? Or pulled across. So you want to make sure the legs are very free and supple when you dance. You can't be stiff, right? Just remember this, everyone. When you're in ballroom dancing mode, ballroom meaning waltz, Viennese waltz, foxtrot, and quickstep, not the tango. You do want to feel that as you dance, that what's it called? There's like an elasticity in your body, right? Like you're not too stiff, and that the ability to control the feet is going to control the quality of your movement and dancing. All right. So one of the good things about principles is that they don't change. So it can sound like you know this, but until your body starts doing it, it's a different, you don't really know it, do you? Okay. So I would say practice, yeah, what I write here, practice the lowering from the feather finish into the three-step, and then aim to make it flow together. Now, the other thing you can do is send me a video, right? So that can help me very much identify some of those main issues. There is one more thing I'd like to do. Just give me a quick moment. I would like to check something. Just, by the way, the three-step, remember your right side lead. In terms of direction, I want to make sure I touch on that one too. Direction, like fundamentally, the three-step is danced in a straight line. So whether you go diagonal to wall, line of dance, wherever, it's in a straight line. But one of the things that people forget is there's a curve. And let me talk about that actually, because I just remembered this cool little thing. So the foxtrot, think of the dancing, for anyone out there that loves the foxtrot, wants to dance better, you think of the foxtrot as a winding river, okay? You don't actually dance thing, although it's linear in its movement, think of it as what we call like a curvy linear action. So the feather, right, it was based on a quill shaped like that. So even though in the technique book it'll say dance the feather step, literally this is all it says. Right? If I do a feather step and three-step according to the book, it'll say, right foot forward, line of dance, left foot, forward, left side leading, line of dance, right foot forward, outside partner in CBMP, left foot forward, line of dance, into the three-step, that would then be line of dance. So it's in a straight line if you look at the book, except when you actually want to dance it, you want to feel that your body is creating, so even out of this first step, there's my line of dance, but I can actually take it that way, and that's still the line of dance. I can curve a little bit, right? And then as I lower, I'll bring it that way. I know you couldn't see that, but my body was turning, right? So it snakes like that if you continued it. So when you do a three-step from a further finish, I'll give myself a little bit of room here. So although that's diagonal to wall, what I want to feel is as I'm coming through into the beginning of that three-step, because of the nature of my right side coming through and the CBM, not CBMP, I'm going to have my body curve towards the line of dance on the three-step. See that? So it's a wonderful feeling. And again, that's because of the timing of the feet, and then of course the use of the CBM here, and then the right side coming through. Now, what happens on a natural turn if you have to go diagonal to wall? Well, as my foot lowers and passes, I curve that way. It's quite a cool feel. It's difficult, right? But it's got a great feeling because you'll find things really have a lovely ebb and flow to it. And if you're dancing foxtrot right now, try that. Try to curve it a bit more. Here's what you have to remember. The feet must pass. We'll talk about tracking as well in Latin later on for rumba, right? But the feet must pass. And it's at that moment when they pass that we can change through the use of the standing leg where we're going. Now, by the way, I noticed that you've just finished the Anthony Hurley Masterclass, and I encourage people to go back to that if they want to understand Well, Vaughan, my feet are passing, but I can't seem to get that curve. That's because in one of the principles there, we talk about the rotation in the standing leg. So the way you generate turn is out of that leg, and that's when you create the curve. The problem is once you've sent your leg forward, you can't then change the body, right? Okay, so listen, thank you. Let me know how you go. Viennese waltz, Viennese waltz. Okay, Liz, hi Vaughan. What a year! I've loved learning from you and being part of your Q&As. Oh yeah. I love to see the progression your content has allowed me to make during 24. To close off, I have 2 questions. Okay, that's cool. We'll do that this year, this month. That's fine. Normally, I like sort of 1, but it depends on the question too. Both of these are causing me an issue in my last 2 competitions in this year, and I'm hoping you can help me with a few tips. In the Viennese waltz, I'm hopping on the chassé. My trainer says staying low will prevent the hopping, but try as I might, I can't stop having this annoying small hop in my step at each chassé. Happens more on the natural turn than the reverse turn. Okay, cool. So just to be clear on the definitions, there are no chassés in the Viennese waltz, all right? So what you're referring to, I would imagine, would be just the close of your feet on the natural turn, because in the reverse turns we cross, right? So for context, so everyone's aware, when we're doing a natural turn, for man or lady, right, there's always, 1/8 of a turn on the first step, and then you go toe, close, and lower there. That's not a chassé, that's a close. Then you step back, point, and you drag your foot. There's your natural turn. Reverse turn, all right, you're going forward, side, and you cross in front, and you go back, side, and then you drag your foot. Okay, I might have to change the angle on this a little bit, actually, just to bring a little bit more love. Okay, so, right, so that's important. Now, the feeling of hopping, what that is, let's talk about this for a second, because in the different stages of your development in dancing, you're gonna need to understand certain things to be able to access a better way of dancing. And you're at that point now, you can understand a little bit more nuance. Whereas when you first learn, nuance means nothing, right? So when I teach a starter class for people who've never danced before, do you think at all I ever go through rise and fall? Really? No. Like in the first 4 weeks of that, no. We just like getting the pattern, getting the feet, right? Getting the timing. So what happens now is you need to understand the differences between the dances. So we have first principles, right, to carry across the board. Posture, weight, okay? Then, of course, like I said before, with the feet, what do we do? But as you get better, it might be, you need to know, like in the Foxtrot, the way you create that ballroom walk is actually different to the waltz, yeah? Now, how different? Well, that's the nuance, isn't it? Because it would make no sense to someone who doesn't have the skill or experience to understand the difference, because it would confuse them and they wouldn't know what to do because their body isn't there yet, yeah? Okay, so what is different about the Viennese waltz to the slow waltz? Okay, first things first, the tempo, right? So the speed, it's slower. So it's called the slow waltz for a reason, right? There's the Viennese waltz, the original OG of like ballroom dancing. I think it's been around forever, like since the 17th century or whatever. And, based on what, like Strauss balls? Anyway, so by the way, fun fact, the fleck rules, those crazy things in the center, they actually originated, I believe, in the beer halls of Germany, right? Drunk people standing on a keg. You can imagine dudes doing this, right? Getting shit-faced off like steins of beer, and they're standing on top of the kegs. They can't, it's a tiny area, so they're doing these fleck rules going in a circle really fast, and whoever falls off the last wins. Such a dude way to do things, right? Okay, I couldn't imagine what that'd be like with beer in your belly, though. Anyway, so the idea with the tempo makes it fast. So if it's fast, there's different rules that apply. This is one of the things that is important to know. So you might be using footwork, like in your brain, you think, well, it's a waltz, so I should try and do it the same. It's like, absolutely not. What are we also doing in Viennese waltz is different to the waltz, is more rotation, right? Like the whole dance is rotation. It's constantly turning. And in the waltz itself, absolutely we're also constantly turning in the waltz. That's one of the things people forget. It's not linear and curvy linear like the Foxtrot. It's constantly rotating and turning. Now, the other difference, of course, in the waltz is you've got line figures, figures of strong rotation, rondes, développés. You've got all sorts of like interesting combinations, but fundamentally Viennese waltz constantly turning. Okay, you might say, what the hell's the point? Get to the point. The idea here is that your footwork also should change. So how much rise do you do in the Viennese waltz? So think about this, because the problem we're trying to eradicate here is what I call snatching. So snatching is the closing of your feet like that, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like snapping them together really quickly. And that's what the let's, you know, the hopping in the chasse, that's the bit there. It's the snatching, right? And so, and let me know if I'm off track on that, but I believe that I can read the problem there, having lots of experience with this sort of thing and knowing what it feels like to do it myself, and my students having the same problem in their medal exams, even this year. So here's what we look at. The rise and fall is different. Now, what is rise and fall? It's the elevation through the feet, the legs, and the body, right? So if you just do this with me, so of course, if you soft bend your knees, it's a rise up through your feet, okay, heels are off the floor, through your legs, they can straighten but not locked, and then of course your body can continue, right? Now, how high do you go through these feet? This is the question, right? Because in the waltz, you almost do try to come up to the highest point. You also try to fall and create a mad swing on one, right? So one, then up, right? And you let your body lift and get carried. Please excuse me, I've gone a bit too low there. Okay, so if you do that in the Viennese waltz, you're gonna look absolutely ridiculous, right? So if you take the waltz rise and fall and think, oh yeah, Viennese waltz must be the same, and I lower 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, not only gonna hop, you're gonna bounce, right? You're gonna look so bad. So here's what changes that help me. With the Viennese waltz rise and fall, rather than thinking heel toe, which in my head is like gonna have the most rise in that sense, in the waltz, in the Viennese waltz, think heel ball. And think heel low ball. What that's telling you is in your feet, you are not maximizing the rise, right? I'm trying to go onto the toe, for example, all right? So that's gonna be the first thing that's gonna allow you to stay at a certain level, right? So if you look at the Viennese waltz again in the character and its formation, because of the speed of it, right? It doesn't rise and fall like this as you look around, okay? So it's not doing this like the waltz. It's got more of a rotation like that. And in the Viennese waltz reverse turns, it's almost like a dinner plate on top of a stick doing that, you know, not like a samba roll gone wrong. And in the natural turns, you can have a little bit more sway and everything, but you're not trying to sway. Sway is a counterbalance. You're not trying to sway as much as the waltz because you're not swinging as much, right? So one of the other misnomers with Viennese waltz is this idea of swinging. So we're not really swinging our body to the same degree as the waltz, right? So I'm not trying to go from here and rise my body up and then 1, 2, 3, 1, right? See that swing? I don't want to do that. I do want to, however, have very strong rotation in CBM. So in my natural turn, my body will turn quite strongly and I'm going to drive straight forward on 1. So you'll see it's a nice strong step on the accent, which is big 1, 1. Now on 2, 3, this is the key. Low ball, right? Not a toe, low ball. Bring that foot, right? Low ball. You notice I didn't really rise and fall at all. Now, this first step coming out of it, again, I'll get the direction, the camera angle. So ball, you know, ball heel, ball, think of that as a low ball, not a toe, right? And then drag that foot. Now, why are you dragging the foot? Because this close is where you're snatching. Now, I guarantee you, you're rising up and not even knowing it. Your left foot is going up on a toe than a heel. You actually have to drag that completely flat. Do you understand? So if I do the step 4, 5, and 6, so this is 5 and 6, right? That foot is dragged flat to keep my weight on the inside of the turn. So when I lower, I can go into the next step, right? That's again part of knowing your footwork and the differences. So if you rise too high, coming out of step 4, and that's a toe, you're going to go up like in the actual waltz, which would be correct, right? So that's what you want to do in the waltz. In the Viennese waltz, you're staying down, low ball, use the weight to drag that foot and close it. You understand? So it's a very technical answer, but the dance is a little technical. Here's the good news, everyone. Viennese waltz, once you understand it, is the easiest dance to do. Like it's once you get it, it's locked in. Advanced dancers don't really practice the Viennese waltz ever. They practice the Foxtrot because it's a son of a gun, right? Once you understand movement, the Viennese waltz, you can just dance it, you know? It just gets tiring after like 2 minutes of it. But you can keep going because it's pretty straightforward. So what I'll give you the thing to focus on here, besides just adjusting the rise and fall, is the first steps are the accent, right? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That is the step that has a lot of strength. 2, 3 should just happen. Now, that's where people panic. You find because they haven't stepped well on the first beat, 1, 2, 3 becomes panicked. The hop, the snatch is inevitable because you haven't used your body correctly on the first step. So you're going like 1, 2, panic, 1, 2, panic, right? Oh, it's too fast. You were too slow. And you're also using the wrong accent. So the first beat is very strong. 1, 2, 3. Then you got time. All right. So let those feet come in because you've stepped well on beat 1. Okay. Now, Viennese Waltz I haven't done a lot on, so I'm very glad you actually gave me that question because I have a lot of information on it. It's one of the dances we always did very well at in competition. And we really did flex rolls. I love flex rolls, but they're a hard set to do well. They're a lot of fun though. Okay, hope you've enjoyed that answer. I know sometimes you can feel a bit long-winded, people, but I love the idea of breaking these things down with you. Okay, so if we look at the last tip, what else is there? Just think about how you look when you dance the Viennese waltz. People are often shocked when I dance it with them to how much it actually moves, and then the actual direction it goes because it changes, right? So the technique book is almost inconsequential. It's good to learn the steps that way, and then as long as you're on the like a racetrack, right? The main strip down the long line of dance, that's where you need to keep the direction good. But I would say to you, be very, very cautious on how much you rise and fall. Oh yes, the knees, that's what I was coming to. I need you to understand the knees themselves are where you get that control to move properly, right? So you're not rising as much up through your feet and everything, but your knees, you're using them to help you counterbalance as well. So, not too much body sway or anything like that, and the knees play a lot of work. So you do get quite a workout in your legs. There was one more little thing I wanted to add in here. It will come back to me. And if it does, I'll just randomly say it a bit later on. Where is it? Let me come back here for a second. So how do you practice this at home? All right. So without music, practice lowering. So instead of thinking of swing, say yourself lower 2, 3, lower 2, 3. And the lowering is felt in the actual supporting leg. So I'm in my left foot, so I'll lower in the left leg, lower and drive, right? 2, 3. Now in the right leg, I'll lower through that knee, 2, 2, then 3, and I'll drag. And that's it. Just practice doing that. Reverse turn will be the same. Be in the right leg, lower, drive, 1, right? Then on 2, 3, 2 and then 3 should just happen. And again, out of that left one, feel you lower through that leg. Lower, then you can step strongly 2 and then drag on 3. You'll notice that the leg is going to work a lot more than, say, the use of the feet and the articulation, okay? So the actual look of the Viennese waltz now, if you see yourself dancing it, it should be a lot flatter, so it's not rising up as much. And there's a little bit of sway, not a huge amount, and that is more rotational in terms of its strength. And the first accent's going to be the best one for you, okay? So thank you for that question. Let's smash into the quick step. Hey, where's my face? Okay, so yes, this was the second part of your question, wasn't it, Liz? So quick step, going from a backward lock to a left and then a right tipple. Yeah, so back lock, then left tipple, then a right tipple and a backward lock. I just can't seem to do this at speed. It requires to keep up with the quick step counts and to make it all look sharp. So it looks sluggish and my head opening and closing is always delayed or doesn't happen at all. Any tips on how to work through the challenge with this? And thanks again for your amazing content inside Vaughan. Looking forward to what 2025 brings and what you make of 2025. Okay, so couple things, just frame this properly. So you've got a backward lock and a tipple chassé to the left. Then you go into another tipple chassé to the right. Now that tipple chassé to the right, just so we're clear, especially because of Dance at Home and the YouTube video that you should go and watch on the tipple chassé, includes a backward lock for you. So that sort of figure is stitched together, okay? So, but I'll still teach it in those parts, right? So let's look at the actual step. So you got, as a lady, going back on your left foot, slow. The backward lock, quick, quick, slow. The tipple, slow. Quick, quick, slow. And then another tipple. Quick, quick, slow. Did I do the man? Oh my God, I think I just did the wrong step. My bad. So I was just dancing this before. Backward lock, slow. Lock, lock, lock. Okay, cool. Yeah, here we go. The man's coming forward. Yep, slow. So here we go. I was right. Quick, quick, slow. So there's your first, like, tipple, yeah? You're basically doing the man's tipple chassé to right here. And then coming out of it, you got another tipple. So tipple to the right, and then you do your lock, quick, quick, slow. So now that I've got my brain back in order, let's go. Slow, quick, quick, slow, slow. Quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, and then slow, right? So hopefully we have the same timing in common, because I don't see why we wouldn't. Now, in terms of the reference point, I broke down the tipple chassé to the right. There's one that goes around the corner, one that goes along the side of the room, and I broke that down for like a 20-25 minute episode on YouTube. Have a look at that in depth. One of the things that you're going to know to create, so let's look at the problems that you're facing here, right? Okay. So first of all, you're trying to make it look sharp. No, don't make it look sharp. Quickstep, there's some figures we need to have like that reaction. Sharp is tango, right? Just in terms of definition. Rhythms in Quickstep vary, right? So for example, if you've got woodpeckers, you've got a very different character and look and rhythm and feel to that than you do, say, the rocket or promenade runs or just runs in general, scatter chasses. They all have different feel and vibe to them, right? I.e. the pepper pot is a different rhythm to a progressive chassé, all right? So when you look at the actual rhythm you're trying to create, there could be a reaction with the head on your tipples, right? So when you're looking at a tipple chassé, you might want to have a quick, and then like a head movement there, and bum, bum, bum. And by the way, I think I did all that as the man frame too. That's probably what threw me off. So on this first one, as you go into the first tipple, bum, bum, you might get your head to go to the right, yeah? And then the next one, bum, bum, back to the left, and then arch come. That should be, honestly, more of a reaction to your partner's lead. Okay, so anything to do with the head is a reaction to the man's lead first and foremost. Okay, so if it is too slow and you're not doing the head at the right time, part of the issue then is not necessarily not knowing what you're doing. It's actually the connection between your upper body and the use of your legs, right? The use of your feet. So those two parts, I look at the legs, hips down, and then the upper body from the waist up. And so the connection of those two really do matter. The lead is then what allows the head to create a rhythm or a reaction. Now, don't get confused by that, because a lot of the times head weight, shaping, all that stuff people see in dancing is super high level. It's right up there in like Latin with like arm styling and expressions. Very difficult to do because you need the base to be good. Now, what's wrong with your base at the moment? It's probably going to be the use of your knees and legs, right? So in terms of footwork, let's identify a main problem here that I think you might have, and that would be the difference between the footwork on a tipple. So on a tipple chassé, you need to make sure when you do the actual tipple, not a tipsy, okay, so this is a tipple, you feet close on the toes. When you take your step coming out of it, here, if you lower the heel to the floor, this is where you'll have a problem with your speed, because now your weight actually goes down into that step because you completed it, and then coming out of it can be a problem. So that's almost like what we call a check if you lower the heel and then you change direction. So you try to make sure that on the tipple, not try, do it, that you soften the knee and keep the heel off the floor, right? And then move into the next one, keep off the floor, right? So tipple, 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 a little bit of broken sway. Okay, so remember that there's broken sway, which means normally we sway into a turn to balance. This one, we're swaying to the outside, which is unusual, right? And that's where the head can react, right? Quick, quick, slow, yeah? Now, in terms of that foot, I can feel that my heel's not lowering, getting good quad workout. But you see my knee, it's flexing in a little bit towards the big toe rather than out. And the knees are doing a lot of work, the knees and the thighs, right? Bump, bump, bump. Okay, so that's what's going to allow me to control the end of a movement so that the beginning of the next one has a chance. Let's actually talk about speed and quick step. So again, as I said earlier, with the nuance of ballroom dancing, and let's say there's a different walk in the Foxtrot to the waltz, and it's slight, yeah? The idea in Quickstep is we're not trying to dance it like a tango. You might say that's rocket science, that's amazing, amazing insight. I love paying for my membership. What a genius answer. Right, but why? And then the Viennese waltz is not the Quickstep. Wow, this is mind-blowing. But why, right? So when you look at the way you create movement in Quickstep, you think, fuck, I'm doing steps a bit like Foxtrot here. It's like, yeah, the dances will sort of birth from each other, right? And so then the issue being, okay, Quickstep's faster, so you can't really apply all the Foxtrot principles completely to Quickstep, right? So then there's all these different rhythms. The point being, when you look at Quickstep and the way you're trying to move, first of all, what aren't you trying to do? You're not trying to swing as much as you would in the waltz, but you also can't dance it as flat as the Viennese waltz, right? So in between that is this movement we create for the Quickstep. And we go, okay, what do we do to create the speed then? Because we're not trying to create speed in waltz, are we? And if you try to apply the principle I'm about to tell you in the waltz, you're going to look shit and disastrous, right? It's going to look horrible, right? Because we're using something called fall and gravity in Quickstep, in waltz, to make the movement really elongated. When we look at Quickstep, we use the word propulsion, okay? Now, this is moving away from standard syllabus figures like a quarter turn to right, a progressive chassé, a backward or forward lock. I mean, this is still a syllabus figure, right? But the propulsion side of things is actually where you start to see that's why couples are flying around the floor. So as the choreography gets more advanced and you start to do things like scatter chasses, so we go like quick and quick and quick, quick, right? Quick and quick and quick. That isn't because, sorry, the speed created for that is not because of my step to the side. It's because when I go to the side, I push out of the leg. And that pushing is literally how people run fast in life, right? It's how a sprinter goes faster. It's propulsion. Now, we don't do that in tango, right? When you do, it looks ridiculous, right? So you're in tango and you start like pushing foot to foot, you end off camera, okay? And it ruins the look. Now, when do you create the propulsion? Because it's a tool, yeah? You don't need it on every step. It's very easy doing a lock without that, because you just lower, do all the normal but boring principles across the board, lower and rise at the end of the step, right? Slow, then quick, quick. That's plenty to get you going, yeah? What ends up happening though, slow, quick, quick, slow, is when you combine tipples, for example, you want to feel that at the end of a tipple here, that point side and slightly back or forward, there, that you can use that leg, boom, and sort of push out of it, boom, boom, into the next one, right? So if you did a couple in a row, like I used to have a combination of tipsies, like 3 in a row, it was awesome. It was like da 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 da. It was so fast, and then like hopping into wood, but it was crazy. It was so much fun. You really had to spring from leg to leg. You had to really curve your body, but the use of the legs was incredibly different to all the other dances, yeah? So it wasn't just trying to apply the footwork and the stuff I'd learned across all the principles. It was like, what makes this dance and this particular set of choreography different? And I will stress that again. As you get better at Quickstep, okay, there's a book here. Now, I haven't added any of these figures in the membership area. I'm always thinking of doing this, but to be fair, most people have dabbles on some of these steps, but they don't really use them a lot. But there's a whole like more range of steps and figures. And when you start combining this with basic syllabus steps, you have to understand how the function of the steps, they're different. So in a quick step, you might have basic steps, and then you might move into more advanced ones, hop runs and trick steps in there. And the way you'll dance your body will obviously be different, yeah? You're not going to try and dance it the entire way the same way. Waltz is a little bit different. So the way I look at this is in samba, we have 8 rhythms, and each one of those rhythms, you're actually going to dance your body differently, right? Because of that rhythm, the beat value, what the idea of the figure is, and it makes such interesting choreography, yeah? When you do quick steps, it's the same. The rhythm changes, you know, the syncopations, the hops, the flicks, the kicks, the line figures. That's what makes it interesting, doesn't it? Then it's understanding, well, okay, if I don't just like go into this and dance it with one frame, one head position, one type of movement the whole time. So the idea of this propulsion is you just use it sparingly. When you don't feel you're fast enough, you start to engage, use your legs like you're about to push out of your supporting foot. All right. Now, this is not done when you are lowering to step one of a figure, so of a standard figure. So, for example, if I do a lock, I take my first step, say on the right foot as the man. I'll do as a lady, obviously, for you. So back on the left foot, so slow. I don't need to worry about pushing out of my feet. Like that's that. I mean, you can if you want to create a bigger glide, but it's a bit not really needed because you want your steps to be light, yeah, because of the rhythm. Once you start getting into like tipples, boom, boom, continuous tipples, right, tipsies, you really need those legs to pump. Okay. I know it can feel like a long answer, but it's very important to get the idea that what you see, what's being produced, the only difference to that is like an understanding, right? It's really understanding that it's not the age of the dancer. That can definitely help sometimes. The agility, obviously physicality. As you get better at your dancing, you need to become fitter to be able to execute the quality consistently, right? That's a prerequisite, especially as you get more advanced choreography. You have to become stronger and fitter to execute such things. But then it's knowing like under it, like what am I trying to achieve here? So I want you to go forward into your quick step. And I know that as you get better next year, your choreography will change. So note that propulsion, and this is how you can feel it, right? So just stand on the toes for a second, and then do two things. We'll do one way without it and one with it. So I want you to stand on your toes and just move your left leg to the side, okay? Then close your right foot, then move your left leg to the side. Now notice that your focus was on that left foot going, wasn't it? And then that was sort of pulling your foot to close. So that is a very different way of movement, okay? Now, what I want you to do, out of your right leg, you're still gonna do the same thing, but out of your right leg, I want you to push out of the right foot, out of the ball of it, right? Push out and then move. Like you feel it already, you can already see it, right? Bang, and then I can close. So I'm not actually thinking of the foot that's moving. I can feel that push, and you can see immediately, oh wow, it's lighter and it's faster, yeah? And that's how you start to keep up with the music and start to change the dynamism of your actual dancing, okay? So practical terms, go back, make sure your timing's good, double check your footwork and your foot positions, right? Then start using your body and your legs in a different way and notice how you start to keep up with the music much easier. Guys, just so everyone's aware, when it comes to ballroom dancing and Latin dancing, the fundamental thing we're trying to do here, and again, it does depend on your outcome, but for me, I don't care who it is, you are trying to dance. And I swear this is why I teach dance more than anything. I want people to get to a point where when you dance, it's less effort and it's more rewarding, okay? It's less effort to dance and it feels fucking amazing. Like, wouldn't that be nice? You know? Now to get there is difficult, right? It's difficult work because you're coordinating so much, right? Your body, your mind, your brain, all of it, everything is coming together in like a one single step and with someone else. So, but wouldn't it be nice for yourself with your own movement if you can keep that in your head? Like, what are you actually trying to do here? So, yeah, you're trying to dance on time, obviously, but how? Are you trying to be tight and tense? Are you trying to be like rigid and gritty? You want to do it with the least amount of effort, with the maximum yield, right? The maximum feeling, and it shouldn't feel restrictive, all right? And so the coordination of all of those things is literally why we're all here. It really does feel bloody incredible when it works. And I know you felt that at certain points. You're like, oh, and then we sort of chase that, you know, I call it like chasing the dragon, the old opium den type thing. That's why we're going to China. Anyway, so I noticed that for all of us, that's probably a good goal to keep in mind, is that we want to have this maximum power with the least amount of effort. All right, let's get into the next part. Buttons are here. Okay. All right, Jive. MORITZ, welcome back. I've tried to master my rock, chasse, and the Jive. I'm very insecure about the height of my knees. Are you a giraffe? Also, when I dance to faster music, the swing sometimes gets lost, and I feel a bit like stomping. Like a tantrum, right? Like, yeah, like this is too fast. Do you have any tips or suggestions to improve my Jive? Oh, you know I do. You know, look at this. Thank you already for your answer. Bang. I love the assumption that I'm going to answer it. What if I don't? What if I just go to the next video? Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. So when you go back, so first of all, in Jive, one of the things that we need to understand your legs will straighten, but not completely, right? So it's slightly flexed. And then when you transfer the weight and you rock, we'll keep this one short, okay? So when you go back on your left foot, all right, ball heel. Okay, so let's just say a link, you go straight back. So ball heel, right? That back leg, as the heel lowers, the leg reaches its straightening point, but it's not locked, okay? So I'm not pushing the leg back into a completely static flexed position, right? But when that heel lowers, that front knee is picked up. The height of this knee, it's slight, guys. It's not up here, yeah? So that's where you'd feel like a giraffe and be insecure. Fair enough. This is too much, right? Now, in competition, we're not talking about competition dancing, so please, the majority of people that learn to dance on the internet, okay, like the 90% of the world's population that learns ballroom dancing generally are not doing it for competition. And if they are doing it for competition, a very small select few of them actually are trying to dance to an elite level, okay? So I'm not, that's a different way of dancing, right? So when you see people, and I teach competitive dancers, and I might say to them, look, pick your knee up and do this, you have to understand that there's a reason for that, and it's a different way of dancing to create more energy, etc. We're not needing to do that. In Jive, it's a swing dance. We have to think about the character first rather than the performance. You understand? In Jive competition, you would want performance. You'd want to be less about you're not being judged on technique at all, right? So it's there, but no one's judging you on that. So you're performing, you're entertaining, it's high energy. You understand? In social dancing and Jive, it's straightforward. It's like put the heel down, right? Pick the leg up a little bit so the hips can swing. And you want to feel the knees, bum, 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 like working together. So, right, ball flat, easy footwork, okay? The hips swing back and forward. Now, what you should try to do is coordinate the back leg and the heel, like hitting that straightest position and the heel lowering and the front knee picking up so that the coordination of your hips flows, right? So you're not like, for example, going there, then picking the leg up, putting that down, then transferring the weight forward. Do you understand? You want to bring the two together, back and then forward. Notice my shoulders and everything is straight there. 1, 2, and then you can move off and do your chasse. Now, by the way, just so everyone is aware, you might notice sometimes I have contradictory teaching, and that's because there are differences between social and competition, right? So in competition, most people, you close your feet. That's just how chasses work in Jive and Cha-Cha. But to even, all the technique books, you don't close your feet, right? It's closing towards. So in Jive, you go back, rock, side, right? Half close, side. That's how you do a chasse. Half close, boom, boom. So quick, then quick, quick, right? So now another difference is, if you were to dance the footwork, you go ball, flat, ball, flat, ball, ball, flat, ball, flat, ball, ball, flat, ball, flat. If you dance competition, you go ball, flat, ball, ball. You still lower, ball, flat. But look how tight it is, right? Ball, ball, flat. Okay, so I'm still pumping the same rhythm, but my footwork's actually different, and I'm also closing. So that's one of the differences between the two worlds, yeah? So the half close is way easier. Your hips, right? Bum, 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 will be able to create a more, what do you call it? Contra swing, a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, 5, a 6, a 1, 2, 3/4, quarter, 1, right? So the knees have to be more of a focus. You do not have to pick them up like a freaking giraffe on crack, okay? So that is going to help you a lot. Let's look at this next bit. All right, this is your son, yeah?
Твои истории, твои мечты, все то, чем в жизни себя тешишь ты. Твои иллюзии, твоя печаль, все это грустно и немного жаль. Немного жаль моей любви, немного жаль.
Okay, thorough. it's been a while since I've seen you. By the way, you and Peter, that's obviously your son. Peter, I think you said was injured. I want to publicly thank you guys. You've been with me for years, right? Like almost, I think they should be like 5 years online. You guys are great. So a lot of these people I've met, right, in real life, but I feel like, I am your coach as well. It's awesome. You have improved a lot. Okay, so we're gonna give you one of these. I'll give you one of these. Hold on. Where's my mouse? No, seriously, you excellent. I think most people would agree when they look at you, you look very comfortable, right? Like you're moving very effortlessly. You actually have a really nice shape and rhythm developing. Okay, that's really really important to understand. That's a very hard look for women to get of any age. That flow, that sensuality, that movement. It's very very good. Shout out to your son. That shit is hard dancing with your mom. Okay, so the rumba. No, this is dance of friendship. Okay, the dance with your mom is not even the dance of friendship, right? It's not the dance of love. So your boy is strong. He's got a lot going for him. Okay, he's definitely going to want to. I'll talk to both of you separately though, because I want you to do certain things, and I think it'd be great for him to do some certain things. But both of you have wonderful credit to your coaches, right? You guys have a beautiful shape and everything there. So now, with that aside, I want to work on some things for you that will definitely move you up another notch. Okay, you might notice that your balance is a little affected sometimes, right, on certain parts. Um, you know what I'm talking about if people didn't see it. All right, so we have to look at why are you off balance? Okay, and you can't blame your son. He wasn't holding you then. So finishing steps, completing steps is one of the hallmarks of good Latin dancing, and it's actually very difficult to do. Now you'll notice that in moments where your feet twitch, it's called tittering, like where your feet like you do a little twitch before you take a step. You're like, oh, a bit off. That somewhere in your body, your weight, there's a plumb line. Like you have to imagine a vertical line from your head down. It needs to be in a certain part of your foot to have balance. Okay. So, for example, and this is how you can do it very easily to check a position. So if my weight's, this is my center, right? If I do that, I'm going to fall off balance, aren't I? Now, if you lift a leg off the floor, you'll notice that there's a vertical line that goes down into the middle of my foot. Now, if I pull that back into the heel, I'm going to fall backwards, right? If I fall forward, I'll keep doing this. So part of good dancing is to make sure that your poise, which I love the look you have, so don't overstretch or anything this, but you're always trying to make sure that center of your body, so you've got two centers for Latin, say belly button and say the sternum here, you want to have those together in a certain part of your foot before you take the next step. Now let's look at rumba in a very elementary way. When you take a step backwards, right, you take the step back on the toe first, right, then the ball of the foot. Now the trick is when I take my step backwards, toe first, then the ball of the foot, my weight is still on this leg. And people often, because it's so fast, what happens is they'll step back, but as their legs moving, their body's also moving. Yeah. So this is why I say the feet hit the beat. You get that foot to hit the beginning of two. Now, when you get to the ball of the foot, your weight, let's just put it this way. When you split your weight in the middle of your feet, this is halfway through the count. Say count two, for example. When you finish it and you need your weight, that line, to be over the middle of that foot. Now, if you can understand what I just said, every single step of yours is going to have total control if you can execute that, because it's very mechanical, right? In that sense, you're trying to get your leg to get into its position, and then you use that weight to transfer late. Now, how can we practically do this? Let's talk about going forward before I go any more further. When we go forward, okay, we go forward, toe, and then ball of the foot, and then the heel. Okay, the weight's in the middle, and then we transfer. Now, I know you know this from Ballroom Mastery Academy Next Level, but again, we develop the walks our entire lives, right? So we're trying to get to that next level. I need to actually quickly check something, because I just realized something. I'm recording this. This is like in perpetuity, isn't it? So I just need to quickly double check something. Please bear with me. I really needed to make sure I did something here. Oh, that's, yeah, I got it backwards. Yeah, cool. Right. Okay. Backwards. Sorry, I just need to, again, because this is live, I need to make sure that my morning coffee isn't wearing off. It was all the way around. When you go backwards, it's ball first, then toe. Is my bad. So that's what I knew something was sort of wrong when I was doing this, right? So when you go backwards, it's ball first, then the toe. That's why the weight stays there. Do you understand? Anyway, so just it's easy recalibration, right? So ball, so you're pushing that back, then the toe at the extent of the stride, and then of course you go through it. Now, when you go forward, that's where you use the toe first, right? Then the ball, then the heel. Anyway, what I want to get to now is the timing of this. So in terms of practicing the development of your the control of your movement, you go 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And what ends up happening is 2 is going to be where the beginning, where your foot arrives. The and of course you put the heel down. The and, I'm trying to get a position that you can see me. This is good, right? So ball then toe, right? So that's 2. Then the and is going to be you completing the step. 3 will be doing what? Moving onto the leg. 3 and. So even in that basic movement, right? Ball, 2 and is where you finish the step, right? That's what we're trying to do to make sure you don't lose balance. 3 and. If I move forward, my leg will come through. So toe then ball. 4. Notice how far ahead of my body it is. Now, because I've got 2 beats here, and 1 and. So I used all of those 2 beats to transfer the weight slowly. Okay, that's sort of tip 1, yeah? Tip 2, that's going to be over across all the movement, right? Tip 2 is about the feet passing properly. So what you'll notice is that a lot of the times your feet are not actually passing properly. So even if your feet are turned out as a lady, and again, when you watch it like a high-end competition dancer, their feet will be turned like right out, but they will collect their weight, they'll shape their knees, they'll do all that stuff, right? But the feet won't do this. See how they're open? I want you to make your feet, without doing anything weird, even if your foot's turned out, I want your foot to be able to come past and actually like brush through. It needs to track. Why? For balance and movement. And again, if you need to turn off a direction, you do it after that. So that way your legs aren't opening. Now, the other thing is when you do that, the knees will shape. So I'll give you an example of that practically so you can see what I'm saying. We'll go back to that rumba. Just turn the volume down. Okay. You'll see right there, even in that fan right here, watch. So 2, the feet didn't brush, right? They didn't brush at all going past, yeah? And that's what I want you to collect. Boom, boom. So one thing, this is a very subtle thing, but check out this. When you finish this Alemana, turn your feet out when you're doing Alemana. I won't stop it, but your toes lift up. I'll show you. So 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. See, now it's a subtle thing, but and this isn't nitpicking, but your big toe at the end of the Alemana lifted like that. What that means is your weight. What that means is your weight is actually in your heels, right? So you finish your Alemana, turn your foot out, not in. Okay. All right. What happened? This front foot, if I exaggerate it, up. If you were to like that. So when you finish the step, what that means is you're not over the leg properly before you go into the next step, right? So you got to get over the leg, boom, over it. There should be no chance because why? There should be pressure felt in the ball of your foot at the end of a step, all right? The weight should be over towards the inside edge of the big toe. Now, how do we put all this together? All right, so your walks, we've got a little timing change there to help you understand when your weight should finish correctly. And you're tracking your feet. It may sound like a lot, but it's not really, because if you just do it slowly, you start to see like the ABC of it all connects. What I would like you to do as you are executing all of that is, this is the third thing that brings it together, is pick your knee up more, okay? So when let's say you're going into fan, all right? Okay, so yeah, your foot's out to the side, or it can be in here. This knee, pick it up more, all right? See that? And then let that do all the heavy lifting in terms of the footwork and the transference, right? Do your turn, but before I've stepped, see, I'm picking up the knee, all right? Not rising, but picking it up. Then I can turn, right? Then again, let the knee, see that? See how much it's working? The reason for that is it connects to the hip, and then you can move into positions, all right? So you might do your, by the way, fan, everything in rumba is walking, just so you're aware. So even this is like a backward walk that's been cut short, and then you change it to a forward walk. That knee, pick it up, right, before you move. What you'll notice then, as a consequence, your hips are going to look better already without you actually working your hips more, because you already have the foundation there. So when I want to create a movement and I'm not wanting to think about my hips, or I want to make them better, if I use my legs in a more sophisticated way, the hips start to react, right? I'm actually more settled now because this leg is working differently, yeah? And then you can transfer weight, shape the knees a little better. You're gonna notice that the feet track as that all happens. You might think, wow, that could be ugly, that's a lot of legs. When you got a skirt on, and by the way, you wear a skirt in Latin because you're trying to dance the skirt, right? That's the whole point of a lot of this movement. Make that skirt sing, baby. You'll see the connection of that. The knees will work, the hips will work better. Then when you track your feet and you collect your weight properly, your balance will be better. Do you understand? So that's the thing that's going to make your rumba feel even better, which allows you to express it more and have more joy, right? And more beautiful styling and things like that. So with that foundation, your arms are free. And one of the common problems I have, even with girls I work with for a long time, I keep stressing to them, you have too much tension in your arms. And they'll say, why? Pay attention to this tip, everyone. I'll ask them why, and they'll be like, God damn. And the reason for that is their arms, they're not using their legs and body in the correct way. So their arms are now responsible for balance. They're trying to hold on to stuff that's not there, for example. Even if it's not with me, I can see their arms working a certain way to try to keep them up. So here's the tip. You ready? Practice your dancing with your arms by your side. So when you want to improve your rumba, instead of letting your arms come up, because by default, when your arms are up, the sensory, like all the nerve endings in your hands, okay, which are the most sensitive here, right, in your hands and your feet, they're almost searching for like your Zimmer frame. They're searching for your crutches for balance. So you're doing movements and you're like, and then all of a sudden you got weird ass arm movements while you're trying to practice your legs and hips. And so here's the thing. If you can do a rumba in your rumba steps without your arms and just getting by your side, okay, boom, boom, you will start to feel you have balance or you do not have balance, okay? Either way, putting your arms by your side is going to reveal to you your inadequacy as a human, no, as a dancer, right? So you want to feel that your arms are not the things that you are dependent on for balance. What is? The use of your center, right? The use of your legs and your feet in combination, not your arms flailing like you're drowning in a swimming pool or trying to escape a shark. Keep that in mind. So practice your entire routine without your arms. You're gonna notice real quick, fuck, everything Vaughan's saying is genius, okay? My legs are not working effectively. My balance and my ending of steps is incorrect. I'm not finishing steps. And then when your arms are up here, you're like, oh, I thought I was finishing steps, but really they were just flailing in the wind. So now let's talk about your son for a second, okay? He's a young boy. How old is he? Like 15, 14? Great posture, very, very nice. That's great. See, yeah, this the thing I always think about with um with young guys is they're like birds. Like in Australia, we have a bird called a magpie. Every spring, and they're very territorial, right? So the parents they swoop you, and so you have to wear like a helmet with like crazy like straws sticking out of if you're riding through their neighborhood because they will swoop you and try and like peck you in the head. They're very violent creatures. That's why people don't come to Australia, right? There's not only birds, there's like snakes and things, right? By the way, I got a pet snake. Random, right? It was very awesome pet snake to have though. My kids love it. Never thought I'd get one to be fair, but it's fun. It's cool. Very emotionless creature though. You got to project love onto it, thinking it loves you back. It probably doesn't at all. Anyways, bit of fun. The thing is with a magpie, when they give birth to their offspring every spring, is the fluffy neck, right? Like 2 or 3 months in, they've got this like nice feathers developing, just fluff on the side. and you can tell they're just like not quite ready yet to be left in the wild. That's teenage dance boys, right? They just got like the fluff there. They got big gangly. So one of the things when you're a skinny boy and you're dancing, which first of all, massive credit to you guys. One, he's a beautiful dancer, and two, he's a boy dancing. The guy's winning. He's setting up for a very successful life already. Okay, make sure you encourage the dancing, and I know you do. From what I can tell from you guys, you're very loving and supporting. Do not kill his passion by being overbearing parents pushing him to compete. It's important to have, like, the not quitting attitude, and it gets tough, and to not give up. But I see parents kill the passion for dancing more than losing competitions, more than partner problems, right? More than the studio problems. The parents do it because they really push hard. I'm not saying you're doing this. It's just a thing for all parents, right? That when I put this on the internet, it's a weird balance. I know as a parent myself, it's like, what would I do in that situation? To be fair, I really feel that most dancers that really want to dance, like they need the guidance, they don't need the pushing as much, right? I think that's pretty true in a lot of cases. Anyways, so the point being, with him, because he is developing and his body is very skinny, he's going to look, what's it called? He's not going to look as strong yet, right? So in terms of his body, and he needs to look a bit more masculine in his approach. So what I would encourage him to do, because his posture's there, but his arms, if they get a bit too, and this is the good thing, like at least he has the arms working, right? But sometimes they just sort of drop down by their side and then they sort of hang up. To create a more masculine structure in his dancing, he needs to be able to present his body and hold it still. So sometimes it's important to create that nice movement. It's got a good settling action coming through, right? But then you don't want your hand to do this at the end. Do you see what I'm saying? Right, so in Rumba, he might be in fan and then go, see, now look at my hand difference, right? What does that, okay, so I'm in black, got my slick hair, okay, and then all of a sudden my hands start doing this. What does it look like? Yeah, feminine, right? That's not a problem if you're in the follower position, you understand? So dancing, I do not like woke culture at all. There is roles in dancing, male, female, or masculine, feminine, right? Either way, you can flip between the two depending on the choreography and who is who, right? Gay couple, doesn't matter. But you're having that story portrayed, yeah? Now, the body has to reflect that. It's not a gender thing. There's a way to produce a masculine frame when you dance, yeah? And there's a way to produce a feminine one. And so what we want to feel is both. And through years of teaching ladies, like I can crack right into my feminine, like bang, get that going. I will not do that on a comp floor, right? I need to make sure I've got presence. Now, here's what happens with presence as a man. Wide stance where required, not talking about like basic steps, but also the body and the arms being like very very outward, right? Being very dominant. But one of the things I would say is that stillness is very important too. So looking down, not good, conveys insecurity, right? So he's looking down a lot. He needs to look up, bang, be intentional towards you. And I know it's hard, bro, I get it. It's your mum, I understand, okay? But that's gonna carry through with partners too, because it can be terrifying, especially if he dances with like a beautiful girl. That can be really hard for a young boy to be like, okay, all right, lead this. So holding the body up and being more still. Now notice where his arms drop and then they sort of come up really weakly. That's again not conveying sort of the confidence that you want in the structure of that masculine role, right? Okay, from a technical point of view, I'm not going to touch that. Like I think a lot of that's really good. I would just like him to be really aware of how much more still he can be at certain moments before he like softens or melts into like the next step. Okay, feel free to send some videos of him competing. If he does compete, if he doesn't compete, oh my god, what's going on, right? Like get him on the floor, and then we can work a bit more on the performance side of things again, because the technique base is great there. It's a good start. One more thing for you, Thara, with your rumba steps before we finish off. And by the way, thank you very much for all of this. And I love being able to do these steps with you. Where was it? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, such a nice presence. The three alemanas. Ah, that's a fun one, isn't it? Yeah. So the three alemanas. So things like spirals and three alemanas. That's where that they definitely require. Okay, so that what am I doing? So for everyone at home, when you dance the rumba, you'll eventually come across the three alemanas. This is where what I can't feel, I can certainly see. And I've talked about you individually, but let's assume you don't know each other and you're dancing, and this is carries across everyone. The man has to like be much stronger in like restricting the lady's movement in certain steps. So when the lady does the three alemanas, right? So for, even here, like the actual alemana, the hand itself has to rotate, anti-clockwise to turn the lady. Yeah, and that happens when he does his back basic 2, 3. Then he has to bring the arm down and almost arrest the movement. Yeah, it can't be just holding your hand. It has to be like quite a strength at the end. Then as the cucaracha happens, it's almost like the middle finger there that spirals up for you. And then he brings you back. So there's a lot for the man to do there. That's why the steps are quite basic for him and they're hard for you because the connection of that lead it changes. It's strong and then it rests and it leads very purposefully. Now, for you as a lady, it's important when you do say a spiral at the three alemanas that your body, so here, notice that even if you look down, that's not going to affect my balance because what I'm doing is turning my shoulders and upper body and my hips, but not to a point where I detrimentally fall over because now I'm at a disadvantage. When I do this spiral here, it's underturned, right? All spirals are underturned. If you finish facing where you're going to go, you lose balance because you're going too fast now. What will happen is you end up going whip and then wrong way. So you want to underturn so then you can go into the next step, right? So all your curls and your fans and all that sort of thing are underturned. I'll give one more little tip here because I'm going to roll for the rumba. This is for the ladies. When you do fan, hockey stick, it's the same steps, right? So sorry, hockey stick, I should say, you'll notice this turn. So let's say from fan, so you close 2, 3, 4, 1, and now you go that way for the hockey stick. What you want your body to do, so I step here on 2, yeah? On 3, even though you're doing half a turn, you actually get your body to do 3/8 of a turn to there, okay? So you'll notice that the right side of my body is very strong, very dominant. And then at the end, as I take my backward walk, I complete the turn there as my foot passes. That creates a fantastic lead and follow, and it looks good, right? Because you're going 2, 3, and then back on 4. The problem a lot of people have with those steps is they go 2, all the turn is made and they're facing their partner, then they go backwards. And again, that's like an easy way to teach in social dancing. When you're looking to develop your dancing, you try to hold back. So you step and turn. So 2, step first, then create the turn and let the body be late at the end and then finish. All right. Try that. It's going to create a wonderful shape for you. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, what a massive day. Thank you very much for being here. And thank you for being with me, especially you long-term students. I am really grateful, really grateful. I've been through a lot in this last 2 years, and I might talk a bit more about that personally a bit later. But yeah, it's incredible. I'm still here, and it's incredible that we're still here together. I'm very grateful to the new people that have joined. We'll see if you stay around. To the long-term loyal people, this is where I love to see the work because it takes time, guys, to improve. And like everything, we go in ebbs and flows. Do you think I want to turn up every day? No, I show up every day though, and then I start putting in the work. And I think that's really important for all of us. Is we're here together. We're here to work together. And please remember something here. What you're doing with me is still, I know it seems obvious to people, so, oh yeah, you can learn online now. It's still a new and foreign idea for pretty much most people to even think they could learn to dance like this. So the fact that you've been with me for like some of you for 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, is a massive testament to one, it works, and two, you are more adaptable and flexible than you think. Because in the beginning, when I was trying to teach online dancing, uh, way back in 2010 and 11, people were like, oh, there's no way you can learn anything like that online, right? It was so resistant. I was like, what are you talking about? I teach differently now than, like, I teach differently framework wise because I understand how people learn online versus in person, because I can't actually touch you, so I have to have a very strong framework and structure for you, and it works because clearly you guys are improving and you're still here. So thank you very much for making me feel valid. No, for like validating the idea, but also to being open to new ideas, because it's rare, man. It's rare. People just, if it doesn't gel with how they see the world, they immediately dismiss it. And I'm like, well, people who do that lose. But the thing about us dancers is we're fucking crazy, right? We're weird. Like we are just obsessed about what we're obsessed about, and I love it. I love it, and it's probably the most wholesome, healthy thing they can do. I understand people get like obsessed about yarn and knitting and wool, but like at what point is that exciting, right? Like for the whole time, dancing is so colorful, isn't it? You got the music, you got the challenge of it, you've got the mental side of it, the emotional side, the partnering side, the skill development. I do want to give a shout out to Dave. I had a dancer friend of mine like have a look at your. They just wanted to know what I was doing, so I said, "Oh, look, check out this like video from Dave," and they were like, "What? Wow, what? How old is he?" I was like, "Oh, he's like 70, 79,000 years old. He's an old turtle." I'm just messing with you. And they go, "Holy shit! Like, I wish uh, my patients danced, because look at the mobility, like look how good that must be for the body and the brain and the health overall." And I'm like, that's a really valid point. Like I know that, but it's great to hear it back, because the majority of people just don't do things like that, do they? So that's a credit to you, and it's a good lesson for everyone to keep mobile, because it's crazy how much your body diminishes over time. So I think it's a good credit to everyone in here. And to be fair, most of my students, most of the people that learn online, most people actually want to learn ballroom dancing, are typically like older, right? They come from 50 plus. And so I think they see the benefit of that. The issue with people at that age is they're too fixed in their what's it called, like the prefrontal cortex. It's literally more hardened than when you're more adaptive in your teenage years. And so it takes a little bit more to get over the insecurity and the doubt, and to get over the fear of what people think, because half of the battle with identity, for example, and this is the last part of this, is that people get really caught up on the fact that maybe they're 50, 55 and they're very senior in their company. They're a top performing salesperson. They're a barrister. They own a law firm, whatever. They're so well known and recognized in status in what they do. They come into dancing and they're so bad, right? And they know it. And there's a humble pie that must be eaten, isn't there? And I said, don't worry. Like, listen, it's just horses for courses. When I go to my coaches, I'm eating all that humble pie. Do not think I'm exempt from the pie. Okay, it's just I'm willing to eat 10 times more pie than you are, because I want to get good. So you do have to get past your ego. And so if you can not wrap your identity up in the dancing, okay, at all, and don't take it personally and get your ego out of the way, you're going to love this, especially because of what it does for your body. Just once you get past that learning curve, my God, it's amazing, right? And you all know this, right? That's why we're still here, because at some points, yes, it really clicks. And I say, once a dancer, always a dancer. So I wish you a very safe, happy holiday. I've got some ideas for next year that I'd really like to execute. I'll need your help with. But yeah, I'm beyond grateful for all of you. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful holiday season. Uh, and I hope you're surrounded by people who love you and who want the best for you. And if for some reason you don't have that, hello, I do. Thank you very much.